And we are starting our debate now. I'm sure that you already know our great guests from all the three stages. And I'm so happy to have here with me Ryan Berry, Simon Burton, Michał Michałowski, Annette Naif, Chris Bladel, and Melanie Williams. And we are waiting also for Max Fellows, our keynote speaker, to come back to us. We have some technical aspects to solve, but we really hope that he will join us again. As he said, he will be also with us for this part. Virtual events, a temporary fab or the future that we are all facing and that will stay with us as the new reality. This is something we're gonna dive in for the next half an hour. And I would like to start our discussion with maybe a bold question to Simon. Don't you think that the live events are irreplaceable? Because these skeptics tend to say that once the pandemic is over, we're gonna go back to the standard live events, the old ones as we know them very well, and the rapid development of virtual events will stop even more rapidly. What's your insight on that?
Well, any old technology insists that it can't be replaced by new technology. And I suspect there's nobody on the panel who doesn't love live events and doesn't desperately want live events to come back. But the genie is out of the bottle. And some of the challenges that live events have historically presented, or some of the opportunities we weren't able to exploit in the live format, have now become habituated. We now understand. We're now fully engaged, and so it seems to me that you'll have three types of events in the future: the traditional live event, a live event that fully integrates digital components, and a event which takes place simultaneously in the real world and online, but serves different content at different times to different audiences. There's no way virtual and digital events are disappearing. They're here to stay.
So, if we now have the clarity that, as you've said, that every old technology says that it cannot be replaced, but still it is replaceable, then we have to face the fact that those events will stay with us. That is also the thought that was coming back to us throughout many speeches of today, that this is the new reality, the new normal that we are facing. Rihanna, I would like to ask you about. The aspect of the interactivity of virtual events. So, if they are to stay with us, the main claim is that they cannot be as interactive as the standard live events, and that the new type of the events, the virtual ones, are only the substitute of what we know, what we had in the live events. On the other hand, virtual events can offer a very complex solutions, the ones that the standard events couldn't have offered us up to this moment. Could you name some of the areas in which the virtual events are superior to the old goodies, old standard events that were
Mm,
brought live?
yeah, that's a really good point. And I think engagement is such a big concern for organisers. But again, I've seen so many studies proving that engagement is either kind of on par or actually excelled. Because if you're at a live conference at, I don't know, the Excel or something in London, like a massive conference, typically if you're sat in the middle of them enjoying, you just have to sit there. You can't just walk out. However, if you're at a virtual conference, you can just leave. It's like, you just click a button and you're gone. So, yeah, I think engagement's a big concern, but also it's improving with virtual. I think people are starting to realize what's working. People understand that networking and also like polls and Q&As, that's all engaging because you make the audience feel involved. But also there's other things you can ensure, like send your audience gifts in the post beforehand to make them feel involved again. So yeah, I think there's many things you can do in artificial intelligence as well. There's so much to prove that engagement can be on par. In terms of what's virtual events kind of superior in terms of engagement, I don't know. I think it's really interesting because people can take part when it's virtual. So many platforms give you the access to put your hand up or your virtual hand up to ask a question or add something, which isn't something typically you can do at live conferences. And I spoke to someone recently where it was so interesting, and they said, you know, they're going to miss being able to put their hand up in a normal conference and put their view across. Whereas a lot of platforms now, you have the chat function, or you can put a virtual hand up to say your opinion. So I think in terms of kind of involvement in talks and in panels, it can be more superior when it's virtual. But I completely understand why people are missing the engagement at in-person events, because, you know, typically we would normally do this and then have a glass of wine or go and get a coffee. So yeah, 50-50, but I think engagement's definitely improving when it comes to virtual.
You've mentioned the gifts that can be sent to the participants. I've personally took part in an event where everyone was sent a bottle of champagne to toast the success of the company. So everyone at the same moment, everyone in front of their monitors were drinking the champagne together with everyone else in the company. Of course, it cannot replace the physical contact in one room that everyone is toasting, but still we can have some of this interactivity being brought to life. And I think even more and more ideas will come in 2021. So maybe not superior still, but we have many solutions. Michał,
Yeah,
you have faced the situation in which you were in fact caught off guard, like all the other companies from one day to another, the standard events ceased. So we couldn't have organized anything because of the pandemic. But you are also, with your company, an example of how to be up on your toes and to switch really rapidly into the new virtual reality. Do you think that every events agency should have its own virtual events platform idea program, because we don't know what 2021 or 2022 will bring? What's your feeling? Is it mandatory for every agency?
So Anna, you are right. I mean, we 2020, especially March 2020, was such a difficult time for us, because suddenly we lost all our clients, because we used to be a traditional event company, as Simon said, it's like everybody right now during this event, probably we are missing the personal touch, contact, the emotions that traditional event is bringing to us. And it was a long way starting from March to where we are here, and actually not far away from here with amazing people with whom I'm surrounding with today, because behind those cameras, those are people with whom we started the journey, which led us here on the stage, because we had to manage a lot of knowledge. We had to master, we had to learn, and we had to create this amazing place where we can broadcast from Warsaw. And this is, pandemic was very unexpected thing for us. But if you look historically, it's gonna happen in the future. It happened in the past, and it's gonna happen in the future at some point. So I suppose it's a smart move to be ready for it, to be ready for another time that this kind of situation can mess up a lot of plans of different companies. So the companies who, for instance, this was something really interesting that which Max had in his speech in the beginning. When the pandemic started in March last year, most of the companies thought that maybe 2-3 months, maybe September, we are going to be back to normality. And look at us now. It's like almost a year. The vaccine is on the market, and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't solve the problem. So somehow I would say it's a smart move to do something. It's a smart move to think that virtual event, virtual reality is going to stay with us, because even if we in 2022 we are going to be back to traditional events, I cannot imagine that we are not gonna make usage of this amazing time that we had between March and now, and the technology that was brought to those events. It's gonna be still with us. So that's my opinion. Whoever wants to be competitive on the market should think and try to invest a little bit more in this kind of solutions, because they will stay for us even if the pandemic is over.
Max, thank you for joining us once again. It's so great to see you. And so, if you've been summoned by Michael, my next question will be to you. What's your feeling about the fact that we have this new normal, as it seems, that this new reality with the online events, in terms of big classics like, I don't know, Oscars? Do you feel that such events should be hosted in the virtual way, or those should be shifted back to their old forms? What do you think about those big things, big names that are the cornerstones of the entertainment industry?
Yeah, hi. I was waiting in the wings. I don't think Michael spotted me, but it's good to be back and see all your faces. I just think the cornerstone of the entertainment world are things like the Oscars and Emmys and various awards like that. I think they are based on people in person. There's the glitz, the glamour of it, the red carpet, the photo opportunities, and all those other aspects. I think when it is safe to do so, I think those absolutely should take place in person. What we're not looking to do with virtual is completely wipe out all of those amazing, exciting, engaging live events. That's what makes events as exciting as they are, what makes love them so much. But I think what we will do is take a much more considered approach to the broadcast aspect of it, enabling people to engage with it with Q&As or meeting people backstage, and these other kind of ways of engaging and communicating with those individuals that they wouldn't have had before, that the digital and virtual technologies will now be able to produce and provide. So I think it shouldn't absolutely replace them. What it should do is enhance them, and leveraging the sheer scale and reach that virtual provides is doing so on a bigger basis, but adding that level of engagement.
So I'm curious then what the organizers of those events will think, and what they will plan for the future of those events, and whether they will stay with those roots or they will go towards this new reality. And if we are talking about being forced or having to switch to this new reality, Chris, I would like to get your feeling, your opinion, or the information from your end, whether this was really a must for many companies, and only the pandemic caused them to change from the standard events, the live events, into the virtuality of what we are preparing, or there was some slight shift before the pandemic as well, and the industry was already a little bit going forward to move into the virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and everything that goes along with that.
Oh, thanks, Anna. Well, I mean, firstly, yes, the pandemic caused us to be in this situation. We had no choice. And as event professionals, we look for solutions. That's our job. That's what we do. And I think we forget that most of the platforms we already were using at live events. We already were using. I mean, I know Hopin is a regular one. Umbrella, SpotMe. They were already being used. But to go back to your point about were we already making that move, I don't think it was led by us. It was led by a generation. It's a generation, and I do dislike putting people in boxes, but I will put them in. Generation Z, who are so used to technology, they embraced it. I mean, I could never imagine the day when I was putting on a live big stage show and I actually walked out and I was telling the lighting director, as I looked through a tiny little screen, going, yeah, I can't recognize it as our event, because ideally the people at the event want to film it, and we've tried to kind of like restrain that, but put it up on their own personal platform, their own personal TV broadcast channel, whatever that might be. And I think that what we will find is that we will start to monetize that through these virtual technologies that are coming on board now. As we're sharing data, our personal data, like we've never shared it before, ever. And we can follow that, and we should charge for it. If you're spending, £1 million on producing a show, why not open that up to a wider audience? The one thing that, to go back to a previous point, that I found in the summer in the UK, we had a snapshot chance to have a hybrid experience, and we rushed at it. And what we did find was the interaction between the people at the live event and the people on the online event was very low. It was actually 5% interaction. And yet, so you do have two very distinctive types of happenings, and one's online and one is in person. I do believe that the virtual events are going to become our go-to marketing tool for selling live events. I think we have found a new marketing way of teasing people, having interactions. We know that our reach is far greater than we could ever have imagined before, and the engagement of them coming if we design something which pulls them into our virtual world. And I see that as being key. I think that is the future, and that is the role that virtual platforms. I mean, we have to remember that VFairs have been doing trade shows on virtual events for 10 years. So they've been around a long time. It's not a new thing. It's just the only game in town at the moment. But I do think some of the technology and a generation has shown us that they are flexible, adaptable, and open to experiencing something that they can broadcast on their channel. And it is our job as event organizers to look at how we monetize that and make a profit, make a good profit out of our creativity and ambition as an industry.
You've mentioned the generation, and yes, the generation or the generations that are to come are very willing to stay in touch with the whole world. We really like, and we came to like the situation in which we can be in touch with everyone, have the speakers and the hosts from all around the world. Annette, this question will be to you. And I think we can feel this in terms of networking. That on the one hand, we just have that we can have the touch with everyone in the world thanks to the virtual events. On the other hand, we cannot have this interactivity and this human part when we can drink this champagne in the same room or have the coffee break and talk some subject over that coffee or lunch. Which of those solutions, the virtual events or the standard events, are better for the networking, having in mind those features of both of them?
Yeah, I think they're both great. You have to be much more strategic when you are doing it virtual, I think. It's, of course, we don't get the touch of this. That's what everybody wants now. They want to do these virtual, networking. They wanted a piece of their events, a lot of my clients, but it's hard right now. People are just, I think we're getting so burnt out on the virtual, and just trying to keep it interesting is very hard to do, but there are a lot of things, and us as event producers are there to bring it to them. I do want to mention that it's hard for us to get, and there was a great point for my speaker before me, and I didn't catch his name, but because I'm now on a full screen, but it's hard to get them on this live stream. We've always done a live stream element as well, but it was always the last thing in the budget. So if they always said at the beginning of the event, we want to do a live stream. And so when we got down to the budget and you had everything else in the budget, they would get rid of it right away. And so I think it is upon us, and you made such a great point that we need to educate our clients. I do a lot of fundraisers, and you can make money virtually. We've done a lot of events last year, fundraising events, and you can make money virtually. You just have to be very strategic about it and just move forward. So they are doing that. It's hard to get these old boards. There's a lot of people on these boards that are old fashioned and can't relate to what we're these generations are doing. And I think also it's important to understand the platform that you're using. Everybody's coming out with a platform right now. So it's tough. It's hard to answer that question because I know we're all missing this human touch. But I think if it's done strategically in a really fun way, we can get the engagement and the networking and make it fun. Make sure that you're very strategic about how you're networking. You are leading that engagement, and making sure you're putting questions together that people can lead it. Put a system in place that works. So it's definitely a challenge, and I feel for everyone. And I'm in New York, so it's a lot crazy here right now. So yeah.
So we have the reality of the standard events, we have the reality of the virtual events, but as we keep reminding ourselves, we have also those hybrid events that are somehow in the middle way, or they might be the solution to the new normal. And Melanie, I would like to ask you about what can be used, what ideas can be used in terms of platforms when it comes to the engagement during the hybrid events, because if we are to link the live audience with the audience sitting at their homes, how we can make them one event, one public, one audience coming together and having the same experience?
Well, there's definitely an art to gathering. And I think this comes into, one of the things we've done with virtual here is we create familiar experiences. So I think that we really have to do that for the people at home. Say you have a commencement platform and you have a grandmother in North Dakota watching, which she probably would have been doing anyways. Instead of her seeing it just on a YouTube screen or a Zoom screen, the stage set should look like the actual stage set. You should bring these pieces back in so it looks like what the students are actually experiencing. So making these digital events more familiar for the people at home already entices the engagement. Another way too is for watch parties. Instead of, all you and your friends saying, okay, we're going to watch this thing together while our other friends are there, do it together at the same time. Be on a platform where you can interact with each other, either at the site or virtually, and you can have that engagement. I think trying to go and force yourself into talking to the people that are, on site is not going to work. I think as platforms, as event producers, we have to think strategically of how to make these happen, how to entice them to interact with each other and, basically create experiences for them.
So yes, we have to be very creative. I think the creativity became the basic word of 2020 and will stay with us for 2021, because we already know the possibilities of the online or hybrid events, but the customers will come to us for more, to be more creative, to find more ways to interact, to find more ways to bring the old type of the events into life in their hybrid or virtual new phase. Please tell me, because I'm extremely interested, as you are all very, very experienced in all types of the event. You've done the standard events, you switched into the virtual events, you've tested the hybrid events and everything that comes around. I would like to ask each of you to give me one advantage of the new reality with the events, being or the hybrid events or the fully virtual formula. So, what is the biggest advantage to you through your eyes and basing on your experience? Maybe let's start with Simon.
I think the single biggest advantage is that we are able to serve the appropriate content to the appropriate audience where they want it and when they want it. Not nearly enough of our conversation in these environments is about audience. It's about us as event professionals, and we don't matter. What matters are the people who attend or who watch or who participate. And the new world will allow us to give each one of those groups what they want in the circumstances that they want it. And that's just a huge opportunity.
As we always have to think for whom we are organizing this, who will profit from that, because as it was mentioned here on the stage number one, even if you have a great technological solution, if you forget about to whom you're speaking, what you can bring to them, you're lost. Chris, what's your one biggest advantage of the new way of organizing the events?
Well, I'm going to have to put a different hat on to answer that question. I'm going to say that it's environmental. We, as an industry, are the fifth largest polluting industry in the world. And it's something that we've been murmuring about for a while globally. I do believe virtual has a place to play in us doing something about that. And this pause, and it's been a year, it's been painful, it's been hard to see companies go under, and musicians and performers and talented speakers and groups coming together, not being able to do that. That's been hard to see and to watch and be part of. But I do believe that our next big challenge is going to be environmental. And this moment in time has shown us that whether it be augmented, whether it be virtual, whether it be just streaming, we can do it, and we can do it affordably, effectively. And as Simon said, we can make it very personalized to the individual who what do they want to see. And I think that will help us in our next challenge, which is environmental.
And I think it's a very, very good point, because I think it hasn't been brought in any conversation today, at least on this stage. So thank you very, very much for bringing this to life. Max, from your perspective, if you had to choose one biggest advantage.
Yeah, I agree with both Simon and Chris, to be honest, on the kind of on-demand and personalized content side, and also the impact to the environment. For me, I think its inclusivity is probably the one biggest benefit from, in terms of reaching audiences far and wide that wouldn't necessarily have been able to attend an event, through to people who necessarily might not have had the fees, funds, or even the physical capabilities, through to those that, due to childcare and other surrounding environments, wouldn't have necessarily been able to attend or engage with your content. So I think what virtual does is it breaks down barriers, and it removes hurdles for people to be able to engage with your brand in really kind of many different ways. So I think that, for me, inclusivity is one of the big ones. It's going to be interesting to see how that happens as we go to this hybrid model with the vaccine coming through, but I think that's a challenge that we can tackle.
Yes, and we've seen it in the statistics that if we take a look at how many people can watch an online event, how many people can participate, it's always much, much bigger audience than for the standard event, for the standard conference, where 200 people could have come into one room, and now for something we have almost 1,000 people gathered at some conference that nobody would expect. Even the organizers couldn't have expected. We had such events in 2020 where people were. It's unexpected to have so many people. Yes, it is expected with the online events. Rian, and from your perspective.
Yeah, so some really good points, and I completely agree with them all. I'm touching on Max's point about, the convenience and the broader reach. I think it's so interesting now that we can, socialize and be on the same panels with people who are, in Dubai or America, London. We can be. It just completely cuts out the geographical issue. So for me, it has to be that one. But again, touching on the convenience, I think we have the on-demand content that's offered as well, which typically isn't offered at in-person events. Sometimes you might get certain recordings, but you don't get the whole event recorded, which some platforms offer. So it has to be the broader reach and the convenience for me.
Thank you very much. And if you already mentioned that no matter where we are, Annette, what's the New York's perspective on that matter of what is the one biggest advantage of the online events?
Well, I have to say it's increased. So a lot of my clients who would do, just do live, they're now doing a virtual aspect, and some of them are going to do both now. So they did the events, they were successful, they're happy, they're like, oh, we like this, because they don't, once they get the rhythm of it and you have it set up and you have your team, it's kind of like simple. It's the first time around, and educating them is a little harder. But yeah, so I got a lot of virtual events last year because I talked about it. I didn't realize that I needed to tell people that I did that. So when I started talking about it, they were like, oh, you're doing virtual. And then all of our clients, we started talking to our clients about, here's a platform that you can do. Let's do some virtual. And they didn't know if they could make money, and they're making money. So it's great. And I mentioned that before. So I would say, as an event producer, I can offer now this piece of it as an option that they never would have gotten on before. So we're able to, make some more money. So we'll see.
Yeah, so it's always important to get back to the thought of the monetizing of the events. It has been heard here on the stage number one, also on from basing on the questions from the public, because we can talk about the possibilities and the engagement and everything, but for some of our clients, it always comes to money at the end of the day, how much they can get from the event. So it might be also a very, very crucial point. Michał, from your perspective, not only the Warsaw perspective, but also organizer of this event, what do you think is one big advantage of the online events?
Anna, it's interesting because it's not Warsaw perspective, it's not Polish perspective. This event showed us that we have the same challenges wherever we are, and so from the world perspective, I would go for the same as you guys did. So the audience, probably we would never ever have done such an event here in Warsaw, bringing all those people from like 60 corners, over 60 corners, and bring them here to Warsaw. It would never happen. But, since this answer was already said, I'm going to go for a different one. I would say the statistics. So, before the traditional events, sometimes we had challenges with measuring something. Here, actually, we have a totally new tool. So the things we do with Joanna, with Camila, the team of tech people who are behind the scenes, they are not in a studio here with us. They are at our office and they are analyzing different data. So this is something very crucial. In my opinion, clients, because this is what the clients ask us or used to ask us, or they are going to ask us as well in 2021, how to measure different things, how to give them more data, because based on this data, it's every single event is easier. So like never before now, they had this opportunity to bring this data and analyze it and simply deliver a better event in 2022 and 2023. So this is something I would say it's crucially important. From my perspective, from all world's perspective, let's say.
So now let's not ask by the location. Just simply, Melanie, what's in your eyes, from your experience, the best thing that happens with the online events for you, for your industry?
And it definitely is a world perspective, because that was actually my answer to the analytics. The analytics are everything. They drive, going back to what Simon said, the content. I mean, we now have, instead of conference rooms full of people that seem to be listening to a session or a presentation, they could be on their phone. You have no idea. There was nothing to measure the actual engagement. And now we can see how long are they in there, where are they clicking from there, which speaker is getting the most traction. I mean, these things are just enormous in the world of events, because it drives every other event after that. So besides a personal reason of not having to stay in hotels as much, I definitely think the analytics are one of the best things to come out of this.
Thank you guys for bringing those answers to the table, because I think that we should not think about the virtual events as something that we have to do. It's something that we really now like and know how to do. So I'm so happy that you brought so many different perspectives to what is the biggest advantage of having the online events, as this is something that we should also communicate to our clients, to everyone who's thinking whether I should have my company's event now or I should wait till pandemic is over. It might not ever be over in the way that we can generate such an event as it was before. Some specialists say that new pandemics are also to be expected. We never know. The future is always uncertain. So it's good to have such a great tool as the online event. It's such a great tool as the way to combine it with the standard event by the hybrid formula, and to have so many good things coming, being the environmental thing from Chris, or being the statistics or analytics, as Michał and Melanie said, or being so many other perspectives coming or bringing the whole world together, or making people feel the event, feel that the world is coming to one place, or making the audience feel that they are the most important to us, and that we are really, really thinking about them when we are planning the event, as Simon mentioned. So thank you very much for bringing all those thoughts to one table, because we've met today on 3 different stages, so maybe sometimes those perspectives weren't heard in one place. So this debate was also to crown all our thoughts from the 3 stages: technology, engagement, and management, and to show us what a big power is within the online events, the hybrid events as well, and that we have a really great tool to go forward and to make it even better, because today we also heard that there is no such thing as a perfect platform or perfect solution. We have something to work on, and I think that's a great thing to think about it, that in 2021 we have new challenges to come and new solutions to bring to the table. Once again, thank you very much, all you all, for all your speeches and for everything that you brought to this roundtable debate.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost the time to sum up what we've learned today about dealing with the events in this new reality, managing them using the newest technology and having the tools to engage the public. But before I'll thank everyone who has contributed to this event, I'll give the floor over once again to Michał Michałowski, CEO of Online Event Support, the organizer of today's event.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for investing your time and spending it with us. I'm sure for each of you individually, this event meant something different, but I'm going to tell you what it meant for me personally. So, 2020 was not a piece of cake. For a company like ours, who used to organize traditional events, 2020 threw a lot of logs at our feet, and it hurt. It hurt actually a lot. So we were on this verge of extinction, let's say, and we simply had 2 choices: fight or die. This event means a lot to me because it's a pure evidence of the fact that we chose the first path, to fight. The paradox is that we would never ever launch such an event in 2021 if 2020 was not so challenging, so brutal, and so chaotic at the same time. You know, when your business goes well, sometimes you forget to ask yourself a question: is there anything else I can squeeze in from what I do? Maybe I can create something meaningful, something which really matters. So, from time to time, people ask me why we call this project Spark of Change, and it's simple. So, there is the spark which we wanted to implement throughout the event in your minds: the spark of inspiration, the spark of technology, the spark of I care about my audience and I want them to experience something unique. So, what you do with the spark depends entirely on you. Starting today, you can enhance the level of your virtual event. You can implement know how we shared. You can show your audience that you really care about them. And this is exactly what we are counting on. So, this is Spark, and why change? Because in order to achieve the above, you have to change. You have to change the way you think, change the way you act. And is it easy to change? Of course it's not. It's not. Hell no. Why? Because we don't like to. We don't like to stretch. We don't like to challenge ourselves. And this is for two reasons. One, the fear of failure. What if I lose? And two, the fear of success. What if I succeed? What if I manage to be on the top of the mountain and I won't handle it? So, it's very warm out here in a comfort zone. But, is the word about staying in our comfort zone? I don't think so. Life is not only about making it all nice and easy. So, working with the clients in 2020 on their virtual events, it showed me that they had this one thing in common. They never organized virtual event before. And this is a huge game changer because right now, as the event agency, you not only have to organize event itself, but this time you have this huge extra burden on your shoulders. And this burden is called the education. So, and what I know for a fact is that clients expect from you to share the knowledge, to leave the shoes of the organizer, and to try the shoes of the mentor. So, why is it so important to share the knowledge and teach our clients? So, last year, the virtual event industry has grown like never before. So, new tools emerged on the market, new ideas flourished, and there is no doubt that we are witnesses of new industry overtaking our perception of how we define events. And when this new market is expanding very fast, it's up to the leaders, up to the event agencies to define the standards and to tell bad from good. So think for a moment. If we tell the clients that that organizing virtual events on Zoom is the peak of their expectations, then we'll have plenty of conferences on Zoom and Teams. And we have to ask ourselves a question: do we want to handle majority of conferences on Zoom or Teams? I don't, and neither do you. So what we can do about it? We can simply educate. Actually, we must educate. It's our duty to raise the bar, to explore new possibilities, and to share what we've learned with the clients. We have to grow together and never settle for less. Not now. The standards we work out at this particular moment will last for years. And like never before, our clients need our support on this end. I would like to close my remarks and officially announce the end of Spark of Change 2021. So, this conference could not have been without amazing people I'm surrounded with. I know I was pain in the ass for the last few weeks, and I challenged you. I asked you to stretch a bit more every day, but it was worth it. And this project is your success, and I have to express my gratitude with simple thank you. This event is finished, of course, but it doesn't stop over here. What we achieved, what we started here, the spark we implemented, it's going to flourish in 2021. Stay safe and take care. Thank you.
Michał, thank you very much for this summary. And I think this is the best moment to announce the next edition of Spark of Change that will take place in January 2022. So a year from now. And I cannot wait to learn what will be our perspective at that moment. But for a moment, let's stay with this edition. And I would like to invite you to our Facebook fan page, where we'll be releasing periodically the materials from this conference. So I hope you will enjoy them as much as you've enjoyed this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, this edition and this event showed us that no matter where we are, whether it's Warsaw, London, or Barcelona, we can organize and stream a live event. We can be strong and beautiful in this picture, having a studio platform and a team of event miracle workers. And having said that, I would like to thank all of those who are invisible but did that tremendous backstage job, all the directors, event specialists, and tech crews. And on the front line, I would like to thank my fellow hosts from other two stages. So, Maciej, Damian, please kindly join me. Let's show the three musketeers of Spark of Change who have led the stages. Stage number 1, technology. Stage number 2, engagement. And stage number 3, management. So the 3 pillars of how to organize a perfect online event. And quoting the best, I would think we can only say, thank you. Firstly for you, for being our audience, for sending all the questions, for being so interactive, for using the chat. Wish you all the best for the future with all the events, with the organization of the events, because you are the event professionals, and we all can say good night and good luck.